What's up guys, Dennis here. So one of the things I like to do is going backpacking, and I'm always looking for new ways to make the trips more interesting. Even on short hikes with the family, I'm always trying to find a new opportunity to get closer to nature, do stuff outdoors. And one of my latest things has been kind of mineral exploration and learning about gold panning, and come to find out in my area there are a few streams that can produce gold. So I've been watching some YouTube videos of other people doing it and looking at the gear, and obviously one of the things you need is a shovel. So I gotta admit, I spent way too much time on this. Looking at shovels, trying to find a light shovel, one that's good for a backpack. My situation is I want something I can have in the pack when I'm going with the family to have a quick side project while the kids are having a snack, or backpacking with a buddy of mine doing a night or two in the wilderness. I don't want to have to carry a bunch of heavy extra gear. I wanted to have something kind of quick, easy, still usable. Alright, I'm getting long-winded here, but let me just show you the kind of options that I explored. So first is the folding military shovel. And these are cheap, relatively. They're all fairly about the same quality, which is fair. They work really well. They've got a nice handle here. They're steel. There's some weak points. This is a plastic collar. The threads don't feel great. This is a soft rivet thing that's a key part where that holds the shovel together. It rattles around, but it is very packable. And I can fold it up. Nope. Hold on. I can fold it up into a nice small little package and throw it at the bottom of the pack. However, it's heavy. It weighs almost 1,000 grams, or nope, oh, that's not the right. 2 pounds, 1.3 ounces, over 2 pounds. So it's a little bit heavy for being a okay shovel. Interestingly enough, probably the best shovel is this little small guy that I found that they're all over the place. I got this one at Lowe's, but you know, Home Depot, Amazon. It's a tiny garden shovel. It's surprisingly light. Let's weigh it. Now remember, this was over 2 pounds. This one is 1 pound 10 ounces, or 750 grams or something like that. It's got the classic shovel shape. It's got a nice round area here. You can notice that it's got an angle that makes digging a lot easier. It's got, you know, places to use your feet to kind of get into the soil. One of the things you can do to make this a little bit more packable is drill out the rivet on the handle, and this part can just come right off. This will now fit in a backpack at this height without the handle sticking out. Which way did this go? And with just a wing nut and a bolt, you can have a quick connect kind of thing here. Goes together and still pretty solid. And okay, well now this is loosening up, and that I just noticed. That's not terrific. This is a really good shovel for short trips from the car, and it's 10 bucks. All right, so moving on. A lot of the prospectors on YouTube, I've been looking at the shovels they use, and I think it's a company, I don't remember, I didn't write any of this stuff down. It's a certain brand, and they seem to be really expensive for what they are. I'm not quite sure why, but they're like $60, $70. They look heavy. They're made out of steel. I think they're all steel. I'm not going to spend $60, $70 on a shovel. And again, they look like they're too heavy anyway. So when I was at the hardware store looking at this one, down on the lower shelf, I found this. This is a $5 shovel. Honestly, it was like $4.99. $4.95 maybe even? Kids shovel. It actually says kids shovel. Let me show you. Kids shovel. Brand, I guess, is Yardsmith. I didn't look, but I'm sure you can find this online somewhere under like a different name or something. And it's probably some Chinese factory that turns these out and then they just put different stickers on them or whatever. But what drew me to this was the shape of the actual shovel part. It's got a very low profile, it's very flat, so it'd be good to throw in a backpack and not take up much room. It still has a decent area in here like to scoop. It has a good scoop shape in here. And it's super light, so let's see, less than 500 grams or a pound. I guess I should have known that. That was another criteria that I kind of had in my head, that any new gear I want to throw into my backpack when I'm on a long trip, like an overnighter where I'm going to do like 15, 20, 25 miles, it's got to be under a pound. That's one of my criteria in my head. Now, off the shelf, this is not a great shovel. One of the weaknesses is that the handle is held on by this one little screw here. And it's just a sheet metal screw with a self-tapping point. This thin sheet metal handle here. And this is really thin. This is like, it's like a broomstick, really. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually a broomstick on some other products. It's also surprisingly long. I don't know why they made a child's shovel with a handle as long as it is. As soon as this goes in the dirt, this thin handle, it's going to have a ton of leverage and it's totally going to bend. The other weakness is this part right here. They just have one little loop right here holding the handle on, and then a really thin section right here that's totally going to bend. Meanwhile, there's a channel that goes all the way down here. It would have been so simple for them to just put the handle down a little further, and it would have more support when you have a prying digging action. I don't know why they didn't just do this. I guess because one of the problems is that you'll hit the end of the handle right here. Another thing I don't really like is the shape of the tip. It doesn't have much of a taper. So you're gonna be, when you're digging, you're gonna be presenting a lot of area. You know what I'm talking about? This needs to be a little bit more pointed. If you compare it to like this one, you can see this shovel is much more pointed at the tip. So let me show you what I did, because I already bought one of these and modified it very quickly. All I did was cut down the handle. I took that screw out of here and I slid the handle further up on the shovel, banged this down with a hammer just to kind of flatten that, and then I drilled a couple holes here, enlarged this hole, and just riveted the handle into the shovel part. I also cut some of the material away to give it more of a point like the other shovel. And the way I did that was just to put this one over here and just trace the shape. And then I went and cut this on my bandsaw, but you could use an angle grinder or a Dremel or whatever. There you go, super simple. Now, one thing I did also try was, this has a standard kind of like plastic insert on the end for hanging up and for, you know, I modeled and 3D printed a T-handle because I thought this would be a great shape for the end of the shovel. This actually fit in there really well. But what I found was, as soon as I had it here, this is really awkward. You can kind of do a grip like this. It doesn't feel good. It hurts the inside of your fingers like this. You could go to one side, but it's not really big enough. Yeah, it's just like, it looks good, terrible ergonomics. So that's no good. This now comes in at 12 ounces, 360 grams, $5, 3/4 of a pound, not even a full pound, and it's just as capable as the expensive ones you can buy online or the big heavy packable ones. Now with this second shovel that I bought, I want to see if I can get the weight down even more. So what I did was I went and bought an aluminum tube that's the same diameter as the steel one. You do need thicker aluminum to have the same structural integrity as steel. I couldn't just buy aluminum that was this as thick as this, 26 thousandths or something like that. This is twice the thickness. This is about 50 thousandths. Although it's twice as thick, aluminum is about a third of the weight of steel, so it's comparable strength. It's not as simple as just buying the same part in aluminum. You do have to consider the dimensions might have to be slightly bigger so that it's the same strength, and so that cuts down on the kind of weight loss that you're looking for, but in the end, aluminum, yes, in general, is lighter than steel. Now, why did I go with rivets instead of some kind of fastener? Well, this is really the perfect application for rivets. Rivets are great for places where there's going to be some mechanical vibration. If there's any give, if there's any play in that area, you're going to get wear. Rivets expand and fill up any of the gap so that there's no wiggle room. Another reason is aluminum rivets are super light and they're cheap and they're easy to replace. You just drill them out and put a new one in if you need to. You want to make sure that the rivet's fully seated in there. Otherwise, you can go and pull the rivet and it'll expand in the bottom, but it won't clamp completely down this way. So I always just give it a tap to make sure that it's fully seated down there, so we'll get a good connection. Now there are concerns sometimes with using rivets, and actually there's some concerns in using aluminum in general. Aluminum is very good at being corrosion resistant until you put it next to steel, and then it corrodes like crazy. I know because the walkway in the front of my house is it's a steel. Oh. My front walkway has a steel railing with aluminum supports that are mounted to the concrete, and where the steel meets the aluminum is just completely deteriorated. So that's actually a pretty big concern here. If you're going to use this in salt water especially, the corrosion, I think it's galvanic corrosion between the dissimilar metals, it just eats away at the aluminum. The steel will stay less rusty as a benefit, but it's almost like a sacrificial anode in that the aluminum will just deteriorate much more rapidly when it's next to steel. Looks like my fingers are behind there, but they're not. They're up this way, so don't worry, I'm not going to drill into my hand today. Normally when I drill a hole, I will countersink it to smooth out the edges here. In this case, it actually helps to hold the rivet in place with a little bit of rough edges. I think what happened was it started to work harden. And let's see where we ended up. 335 grams. Isn't that how much this one was? Oh, 365. Is that right? 12 and a half ounces about. And 11.5 ounces. So there you have it, guys. You can spend 10 bucks on an aluminum handle and make it 1 ounce lighter. I honestly expected a lot more than that. This is going to be my backpacking in the wilderness, 15 miles from a road, for when I want to just bring my little gold pan and a shovel, my little gold snuffer bottle maybe, and I'll have enough gear that I can just kind of wander off onto a stream and just try my luck, which sounds pretty fun to me. So at this shape, size, weight, I'll be more inclined to bring a shovel.
Oh, that's cool. That's all quartz.
One piece right in the center. Looks like it could be something. Yeah.
Well, may or may not have gotten gold, but that was pretty fun. And the shovel worked great. Alright, how do I get out of here?
Where the hell did we go?
Good question.
I think it's road. I think we go straight up that way, I guess. I don't know. Come on, Mr. Cameraman. Follow the old geezer. Holy moly. Yeah, this is...
Oh, this is where we got our crystals.
Yes, that's where, yep. Where you hollowed out that folder.
This thing is just loaded with pockets
Huh?
of crystals. Talking to my fans. All up in here. Wow. It was until I dug them all out.
Not bad for a 70-year-old guy, huh?
I guess I'll take you camping with me after all.
Yeah, just don't expect me to be able to run faster than the bears.
Why do you think I'm taking you?